I'm grateful.
Okay.
I'm grateful to be here on this brand new day.
hmm Yeah, I was going to ask you. So with Rochelle, what is the greatest memory you have with Rochelle? I know you had mentioned about my dad. Him driving on the curb when you was teaching him how to drive. Do you have a memory with Rochelle?
Rochelle, believe it or not, she was her own person. She was just like, she was a young little girl. We was close, but she was her own person, and she would like to do things on her own. She was, it's just like like finished in school or something. She refused to do that at certain times, and we had a time trying to communicate. Now Tom would communicate with her more, but I would, but she would always be with me. But she was an individual person.
Okay.
She liked to do things on her own, like she had been here before, like she knew what was going on, and no one could tell her what to do. But yet she was obedient, and helpful. She would help me do anything that was needed. She was there.
And she's also the one that she's the one that gave you your first grandchild, right?
Yes, she was the first one that gave me a grandchild, Angie. And I was upset about it, but when a human being is coming, it's coming. That's it.
Right. Exactly.
And I ended up being pregnant myself at the same time. It wasn't a pleasant situation, but we got through it. When she had a daughter.
Oh, okay.
All I know is that I knew I was trying to help her with the baby, so she can continue her education. Because I didn't complete my education, and I wanted her to complete hers. And I wanted her to, so she'd be able to teach her child. But she got married, and she had to find out life on her own.
Right.
And we became close as she got older, because she was separated from me by being married. She got married and moved away, and we was always communicate. And when she moved away with a fella, her first husband, all I know that we would still communicate, and she would. It wasn't like we were bitter or anything. I was bitter with her or anything such as that.
Okay.
It was just that I'm a woman, and I can do this and I can do that, and I couldn't tell her not to do certain things, because every time I would tell her not to do it, she'd do it. She felt like, I know what I'm doing. I can do this, and young women at that time, she really thought that she could do whatever it is she thought was right, because she was married and she had a baby.
Right.
And things started to fall apart with her for a while, and she got divorced and everything, and she became on her own with her babies, and she just started managing her life that she thought the way that she thought was right for her to do. There was no more, I can tell you, you should do this, or you should do that. It was that I'm going to do this Mama, I can handle this. She was close to town. She was close to town more than, I would say. She would be more community.
She'll communicate more with him a little bit more.
With him more than I would ever
with her.
Be.
I see. Okay.
And,
what is a memorable moment you had with Gary?
Gary and I was like when he was born, we worked as a team. There's nothing. Gary's like a loner, and we were close, but we were distant. I think we got closer when I became more sober, and he learned, because him and Tom and Rhodey, they weren't close, and him and his dad wasn't very close. They were in the house there, but there was no real communication that I could see that he would take time with Tom.
So they were kind of like oil and water, almost.
Yes.
Just two different people, and they just really
Sean,
couldn't get along.
When Romeo because Romeo was like really the father of the house, because Tom would mostly be gone most of the time, and Rhodey would try to teach Gary how to live one day at a time. I just put it like that.
More or less kind of trying to be a man almost,
yes.
I'm assuming.
He did. In other words, Romeo had become the daddy, really.
Right.
Because him and Gary and Tom could not communicate well. Yet they were so much alike. They looked alike, everything. And
I remember you said on the last interview that after you and Tom had separated or divorced or whatever, you said that one night, I guess Gary came home and he had all his hair cut off, and you thought it was Tom.
Yes, I did. I really did. I couldn't distinguish him, you know. And then they wanted Gary to. He wanted Gary to go down in Texas, because
with great grandmother Lydia.
Yeah.
In El Paso.
And they wanted him to come down there. He went down there, but he couldn't live with them.
Okay.
They couldn't get along well.
Okay.
And that's when he moved to Las Vegas.
Right after that, and he's been there ever since.
He got married, and he just like been a loner to that degree. He's separated himself. You say you know God, then you know God, so you have to forgive yourself and forgive others for whatever it is.
Right.
Because you're going to have a lonely life, or you're going to end up by yourself, alone.
Right.
And
so would you say, like, you know, at this point in your life with him, is your relationship with him is the closest you've all ever been, more or less,
yes.
would you say?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I'm the one that he's talked to. Right. Whatever that you're holding in your heart, you might be good to other people that you help in, and you helping others, but you got to help home too.
Right.
You got to learn how to forgive.
What is a good memory you have with Ennis? I know there's tons, because I mean, you know, you all are together all the time. You know.
What is a good memory about what?
Being with Ennis. Like, is there like a you know, a memorable moment or a proud moment?
Well, the thing is, most of the time it was memorable because Ennis and Angie was born around the same time.
Right.
And I had them both there together. I had to take care of them both, because then Rochelle was going to school. And Ennis was, let's see who was born first.
Ennis
was born first. And then there was Angie.
Right.
And so I had 2 babies to take care of at the same time because Rochelle was going to school.
Really? Is your closest child in a way, far as, you know?
Well, she wasn't no closer than the rest of them. It was just that.
Well, I mean, you're around her all the time now.
Yeah, we have our differences, but I thank God for her because she was the last of the children in the house when they left, you know,
Right.
when everybody left. And yeah, I was at the house by myself. I was there, had my job. And
at that time, yeah, speaking of that, what job were you doing at that point?
I was a supervisor for a home care service, American Spanish Institute.
Okay.
I worked for Chicago Housing as a supervisor there, and then their jobs faded out, and then I was introduced to American Spanish Institute, and I became a supervisor there. And I worked there until I decided that I would take on foster children.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you about that. What made you decide to be a foster mom? Like, what introduced you?
Everybody was gone. All the children was grown and gone on their own. And I was there by myself in the house. And every day I would come home from work, turn the television on, and sit in the front room and wonder, where did everybody go? I was in the home by myself. And all of a sudden, television was on, and commercial came on about children needing a home. I said, here I am, and I was sitting up there all by myself, and I said, I got all these rooms up in here, nobody in the house but me. And so I decided that the address, I would call these people and get some information about how to go about adopting children. And they enrolled me into a school to teach me how to handle these children. Most of all, not special need children, but after I got the education of what they were teaching me, a doctor came in and he said, would you take on children with AIDS? I didn't understand at the time. I heard about what AIDS was, and I didn't understand how you could get hurt from AIDS unless you're involved sexually with someone. And the doctor would teach us, well, they can't harm you. There's nothing wrong with them, with this baby. But at the time, I didn't know that they was using babies for like guinea pigs. Or the experimental babies. And they had Chauncey. His name was Chauncey.
That was the first child you adopted?
That was the first one.
Okay.
And he was such a tiny thing. He was about a year old, but he looked like he was about 6 or 7 months old because he was so little. And I said, well, I don't know nothing about feeding and doing nothing to no baby. And Dr. Johnson, he said, I'll teach you. And here I am walking and talking with a doctor, and he telling me what to do, feeding and a baby intravenously, and with a doctor telling me what to do and how I could keep this baby alive. Because they really expected him to die right away. And he lived to be almost about 3 or 4 years old. And he had got to be to see him wake up in the morning and smile and be healthy and feeling happy was a blessing, because I never had to take care of anyone like that, you know. And they had to take him back to the hospital because I didn't know what I knew they were examining him, but I didn't know that they was going to give him a new shot to check him out to see if he can endure whatever it is this shot was going to do. But whatever it was, it didn't work on him. He died from it. You know? So I brought him home, and he died with me at home. And I've never experienced any death of a baby before. And he had to stay all night with me. And it was cold that year, very cold, and ambulance, they couldn't come because things were so bogged down. And they said I have to put him in my car and bring him to the hospital. He had died. And my friend, my closest friend, Miss Barbara, I called Barbara. I said, Barbara, I got to take Chauncey to the hospital. He just died. She said, okay. And she came with me. We took him to the hospital and it just worried me so. I just couldn't understand it, and it was on my heart. And I fell asleep, and during that sleep, Chauncey came to me. He wasn't a baby, he was a grown man. And he looked at me and looked like, he said, everything's all right. You know, it was just so real.
Right.
And after that, I never worried about him anymore. You know, he was at home, wherever he was.
Right. He was just letting you know that he's okay.
He was okay, you know. And that was the first child. That's the first time I've ever experienced death that close to me.
So when you had Chauncey, it was just him at that point? You didn't have nobody else?
At that, I had, who did I have? Because, I had his, I had got his sister, Ashley. Because they was trying to figure a way to get me to get Ashley, but they knew Ashley was a handful. And when they introduced me to her, I was at the hospital. And Ashley was walking. She was walking. I say Ashley was about 2 or 3 years old. And she was walking. She says, "This is gonna be your mother." I don't like her. And I looked at her. I said, "Well, I wanted to say I don't like you either," you know. But she was. She had grown to be a little individual on her own, because they would treat her special because she had the disease. But they learned that she needed to be away. She needed to be away from, because she was depending on the nurses doing everything for her.
Okay.
And they thought she was going to die, but Ashley outlived them.
Because she's like, what, 30, 32, 33, something like that?
About 35 years old.
Wow.
And
wow.
She finished high school. She told us, I know one time she told, because everything was, they would treat her, because she was an AIDS patient. And in that age, at that time, they would cater to the children. You know, everything was did for them and all that. Ashley said, tell them to come to me. I don't go to school. Tell them to come to me. She was
making demands. Making demands.
Yes. And I started making her do things on her own to help her own self. And after that, she didn't like me too much, you know, but I stuck with what they was telling me to do. Don't let her rule you. You
rule her.
Yeah. But
so then after Ashley, then it was Sean? Yeah,
Sean.
Okay. What was your memory with Sean?
Well, a doctor had kept, it was a doctor, had him, he lived in Oak Park. And somehow, wherever he was, somebody, they had an ironing board, and somehow this ironing board fell down on him, and they couldn't figure out why did they have an ironing board somewhere where this child could
get to it.
And so he was burned on his feet, so they took him out of that home, and they kept him till he was able to, till they could get him someplace else. He stayed with the doctors until they were able to locate another home. And that's when I came in touch with Sean. He's fetal alcohol syndrome.
Okay.
And he was a humdinger. He was. He learned how. We found out that he liked to beat on stuff, and that's when we found out that I would give him drum lessons. Then one day we went to the park, and they saw the Jesse White tumblers. And when he saw that just took his mind. He just blew his mind. He wanted to get into that. So I got in touch with Jesse White tumblers, and he continued. He didn't make it the first try, but the second try he made it. And he became a very Jesse White tumbler. He was a good tumbler too. He stayed with it for a very long while, and he earned a check every time he would perform. He would get a check.
Okay.
And
wow,
it was interesting because it kept him busy.
Right.
It kept him doing
Focused
something.
Too.
And
kept him focused.
Kept him focused.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had Miosha.
Right.
Miosha, she was the next girl.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, she was the next girl. And her mom had a lot of children. She was a young woman, but she had a lot of children. She had a grandmother, which was, I think, was then, but she couldn't take care of her at that time. So I took care of her until it was time for her to be adopted. And I was going to adopt her, but then they found someone in the family that would take her.
Okay.
And that's when she was adopted.
Oh, okay.
And that's when Danielle came in.
Okay.
Danielle came in. And then Miosha was going out when Danielle came in.
Right.
Danielle was a baby. She was a little bitty baby when I got her.
Okay. What's her story?
Danielle, they thought she had AIDS.
Okay.
But she didn't have AIDS. Somehow, it was in order not to just put her in some kind of home or something. They had her in a certain group home, like it was very small, like private.
Okay.
You know, whoever had her, they suggested they not put her in a big orphanage or something. Put her in something.
A private institution.
A private institution. And when I first saw her, she was what? She was about about 2 or 3 months old. She might not. I think she was about 2 months old.
Okay.
So she was a little bitty baby when I got her.
After Danielle, was it Jeremiah or what was?
Yeah, Jeremiah was a baby too. In fact, he was at the same place that she was. I got her from a children's home.
Okay.
And he was a little bitty baby.
Mm-hmm.
And he was I call him Booby. But
I never knew that.
he was just a good baby. He would do, as long as you fed him, he was all right. And him and Danielle and all of them, they're together. And at one time, I got a chance to meet his brother, one of his Jeremiah's oldest brother, Dwight.
Okay.
And he was a teen, like a preteen.
Mm-hmm.
And he did come to live with me but we thought we could work it out, but we couldn't work it out because he had grown to be his own individual. He was a little older than any of the children that I had had, you know. And he had did a lot of traveling around to different homes.
Oh.
And it was kind of hard for him to, because he was his own person.
Yeah.
And he had become that, you can't tell me I know this, and you know, and he was just... He
was a little rebellious.
He was
in a way.
little rebellious, and I had to let him. I had to write a letter to him to come get him. You know, and today, right now, I communicate with him now.
Really?
Yeah, yes. Mm-hmm. And we communicate, and I talk to him, and...
Is he still in Chicago, or do you?
Yeah, he's still in Chicago.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And I communicate with him on the Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And we have come to be talkative friends and what have you, you know. Mm-hmm. He knew about God, but he wanted God to move when he wanted to move, the way he wanted to move, but he didn't know God moved the way he wanted to move,
right.
You know. But he has become a young man that he got into certain things. At least he didn't go to jail.
Okay.
He's a smart young man. He would work and take care of himself, you know. And him and his brother, he thought about Jeremiah being there. Once he did tell me, he said. He was jealous of Jeremiah because Jeremiah, he was trying to split us because I'm your brother, you know. But he didn't understand. Jeremiah didn't know nothing about him being his brother. He just know,
right?
You know. But we split, but we became friends on that Facebook.
Yeah, and remain in contact. Mm-hmm. When did Jeremiah go out to Vegas to live with Gary?
After he graduated from high school.
Okay. Singer.
Oh.
Yeah, so like I know that you got that from your dad.
My dad, yeah.
So what music were you into growing up? Was it jazz or was it
jazz? Mostly jazz and Nat King Cole and...
Yeah, who were some of your favorite artists? Nat King Cole?
Nat King Cole was my favorite.
Oh, okay.
Lionel Hampton. A lot of jazz, because Tom...
Did you like Dinah Washington?
Oh, Dinah Washington.
Because I know Tom liked her.
Yeah, Dinah Washington, Ella Fitzgerald, Mahalia Jackson.
Okay.
Did I say Dinah Washington? Yeah.
Yeah. Billie Holiday.
Nancy Wilson.
Oh, Nancy Wilson, yeah.
Doris Day.
Okay.
What's her name? Jewish lady.
Jewish lady.
She with the big nose.
Oh, Barbra Streisand.
Barbra Streisand.
Oh, okay.
And it's ones that. Did I say Dinah Washington?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, though, in fact, Dinah Washington lived off of 16th Street with her mom.
Really?
Mm-hmm. In fact, I was in the house with her sister. Her sister kid was going to the same school I was going to. Okay. And we became friends, but I didn't know Dinah Washington was her sister.
Oh,
and,
okay.
She was in the house, but I didn't know who she was, you know. Mm-hmm. I had heard of her, right, but I didn't understand her, you know.
Right.
But
what were some of your favorite songs, if you can remember? I know there's one song you sing all the time.
Well, I used to make up songs. And
okay.
And make up songs I used to sing to the children all the time, because I used to take care of all my nephews and nieces, and then keep them quiet. I would hum a song or something. It's one song that I sing that your dad recorded it. Mm-hmm. I don't know where it came from. A Little Love. Mm-hmm. I don't know who sang it, or it just came into my mind. Mm-hmm. But I can't remember. I try to find out who was singing
the original song.
Because the words that came to me, but I...
You don't know where they came from.
No, I don't know where it came from. I really don't. And I always wanted to sing, but I didn't know how to go about it. And I would just sing to myself, or me and my girlfriends, we would get together and try to sing or something, you know.
Were you ever in choir, matter of fact, like at Greater Star or anything like that? Did you ever participate in choir?
Oh, yeah. When Greater Star, I used to sing in the choir.
You did sing? Okay, I didn't know. Yeah, I was just asking.
I was singing in the choir.
Oh, okay.
That was the only place I would sing there.
Okay.
The other church I never did, because I was involved with the children, and I didn't have time. But Greater Star was in the choir.
Okay.
I forgot to tell you, Tom bought a tavern too when I started drinking.
Oh, no, I never knew that, really.
Yeah, after he was retired from his job, he had a lump sum of money. Mm-hmm. And it was a guy, which I knew him, and I told him, I said, that guy's not good. He's not good, good. But Tom wanted this tavern. They got a tavern out up north. And he was relying on this other guy to take care of the tavern. And he didn't either. Neither one of them had no business with this tavern. And I am trying to manage the tavern, trying to make money off a tavern, alcohol. And Romel, he would have to come and help me because I didn't know nothing about business. Somebody just to be there with me.
Right.
Even to open up, to close, to do things, to take care of the business, or actually to take care of all the business at a bar. And
wow. How long did that last? Was it just a few months, or was it a year or two? Or?
Oh, it was about a year or two.
Oh, okay.
And we finally somehow, Tom got rid of it. I don't know how, because he, on that business level, he never would communicate with me on that. Because Tom, he had his own agenda. After he figured out, I got to be stable here. I got to be here to do this job. I got to be here. He couldn't handle it.
It's too much for him.
And so...
Do you feel like you've accomplished a lot of things that you wanted to in your life at this point? Or do you think that you...
Well... At first, I thought I was like a dreamer, like a woman dream like you want this man you used to watch all these romantic movies, and I used to go to the movies a lot, and I was fantasized that I would meet the man like in the movies. But I never met that person. And I was a daydreamer. Tom even told me, oh, you're a daydreamer, huh? And I didn't understand really what he meant by that. But he knew, I fantasized you to being what I wanted you to be, but you weren't. You know, and
do you feel like you've accomplished every important thing in your life?
Now, as I grow older, yes.
Okay. Do you have any regrets of anything?
Not even with the drinking, because it brought me to where I could think.
Right.
I became sober enough to think what God's purpose for me. It was to take care of these children.
Right.
And to take care of a dying baby, or to help a child along the way, to give them a mother figure.
Right.
To raise up them so they could be productive human beings.
Do you feel like that is your? Because I was going to ask you next, like what do you think is your biggest accomplishment in your life at this point? Do you feel like it's raising those children, or do you feel like it's something else?
I feel like that was one of God's purpose for me.
Okay.
And I was able to accomplish it. And to me, I'm grateful for that, that I, with all the drinking or whatever I did in my past life, God sobered me up to be able to trust me enough to take care of the children that He presented to me.
Mm-hmm.
And to take care of and to experience life as it is and not be bitter because I didn't get my fantasy dream. He brought me to reality to deal with my life like He wanted me to be, not fantasizing my life.
Right.
A daydream like in the movies. I had to. That's not real. And I learned about what real life was, and I thank God for Him leading me to people that would teach me what alcohol was about, and how dangerous was, what a mind-altering drug was, and how it can destroy your life if you don't get some help.
Right.
Some people say, "Oh, AA," and then I said, "Well, the Lord led me to AA to get some information on how to deal and understand what I was dealing with,
right,
and what to do about it, and how to go about it." And I end up going to, they asked me to speak at a organization from AA, which I did. And here I was trying to keep my husband's tavern open and stay sober at the same time. But God provided that. He helped me. And I didn't have to drink, and I could be around liquor and I didn't have to drink it. I could be around people and I didn't have to drink it.
Right.
And I was grateful for that. God has been good to me. He has brought me a very long ways. I didn't think I'd be living to be 87 years old. I felt like I wanted to complete my education. I had been going to certain schools, but it just wasn't suiting my purpose, and to take a test right away, and I couldn't manage that. So I was able to go to school, go to class, and there was some wonderful people at the Goodwill. They took time with me, and I was the oldest one there. But they took time with me, and they treated me so royally, and didn't make me feel like I was an outcast or it's something I shouldn't have been. Poke fun or anything at me. And I didn't realize I had made an impression on a lot of the young people that was there. And I was grateful that I completed that. To me, I had wanted to do that because my dad wanted to learn how to read. He couldn't read, but it hurt him that he could not read.
Mm-hmm.
And I promised him, I said, I'm gonna finish high school for you.
Mm-hmm.
And
you did it.
Hmm?
And saying you did it.
Yes, I did. And my son Romel, he helped me a lot by pushing me, and for a while I didn't understand why he would. He started coming around me more when I moved out. Well, in Griffin too, he would come.
Mm-hmm.
But seemed like for some reason, Romel started coming out here more. I didn't know what God had planned at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And
do you have any advice for the future generations? Because I know you're a great grandmother, so like for your,
Well, my thing is to learn how to stop using mind-altering drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Give your brain a chance,
Mm-hmm.
because you're a human being and you don't need no mind-altering drugs, because you was born without it,
Right.
about being smoked or drink. Give yourself a chance and get to know who you really are.
Mm-hmm.
Get to know what your purpose is, your foundation. You have a God foundation. Learn it. Learn about it, what it is. Don't just drink yourself to death, smoke yourself to death.
Mm-hmm.
Learn about what God's purpose is for you.
Mm-hmm.
Be still long enough to listen to what God has to say to you.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have children growing up and they're looking at you.
Yep.
They're looking at you for advice to see how they can make it through one day at a time.
Right.
How to make it through this not this world trouble, people in this world, all these different people, how they treat you, and you learn about how to treat your body and learn how to treat others and learn how not to be prejudiced, learn how to reach out to say, be kind to each other, to help each other. Don't focus on being rich. Focus on being helpful to others, and material things will come to you.
Mm-hmm.
What you need, because sometimes you can have so much material things that they have no value.
Yep.
They just be stacked up in the house
Mm-hmm.
with a lot of dust on it and a lot of clothes and things. Credit, leave that alone. You don't need it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you end up owing people for things that don't have any value.
Mm.
You end up owing thousands of dollars,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't take care of your family because you got to pay them folks that money back that you borrowed.
Mm.
Learn how to get yourself into a business, teach yourself learn how to get your own business started.
Mm-hmm.
Don't drink yourself to death.
Mm-hmm.
Don't invest in yourself, to help yourself, to teach your children. You got a generation of people coming along, and you don't want to leave them with a mind-altering drug. That's the only thing that you can have fun with, partying and getting drunk and
Mm-hmm.
hurting each other, killing up each other, trying to get something out there. All you have to do is get up and go to work, get your job, learn how to take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to work for people all your life. You learn how to work for yourself.
Right.
To take care of yourself. And you don't worry about being rich. If you can wake up each morning, God give you the gift of to breathe each day,
Mm-hmm.
and have a clear mind
Mm-hmm.
on what you're gonna do and what you want to do in life and how you're gonna do it and how you're gonna give back, how you give back to life.
Mm-hmm.
If God give you something, He expects you to give Him back something.
Right.
And love each other.
Mm-hmm.
Stop killing of each other. Stop hurting yourself. When you don't hurt yourself, you don't hurt others.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And be careful, because people out here to trick you into doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
They'll try to trick you out your money, trick you out your life.
Mm-hmm.
And there you go, well, I guess I'll get drunk. He didn't trick me.
Mm-hmm.
No, you learn how not to be tricked.
Mm-hmm.
Keep a sober mind and sober head, and that way you won't get tricked.
Amen.
Keep your mind open. Keep an open mind to listen and see what you're dealing with and who you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's some shysters out here that will talk a good game.
Mm-hmm.
Talk you better on out your money, talk you better on out your past, talk you better on out your life.
Mm-hmm.
And there you go. Well, I guess I'll get drunk and kill yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Destroy your own self. Learn not to destroy your own self.
I want to thank you, Miss Adella, for taking the time to, express your life and your experiences. And, this was an excellent interview, and I learned so much about you, even though I've learned a lot about you over the years, but this is on another level. And I thank you and I love you for this.
I love you too, number two.
Anything else you'd like to say before I close this out?
No, it's just that I love all my children, my great-grandchildren, and my grandchildren. It's just a blessing that God blessed me to be here to see them.
Yes.
And I'm grateful for that.
All right.